When a rising star in Chicago disappears without a trace, it leaves a community grasping for answers.
It was jarring because she was a well-known, beautiful, professional woman who vanished.
She's on the news. There's flyers of her everywhere.
Everyone was trying to figure out, where is this girl who appears to have everything?
But as this investigation heats up, the clues become more baffling by the day.
There were 3 calls recorded to 911, but there was no audio detected on the calls.
Hanging from the tree, they found pieces of jewelry, earrings and bracelets.
The car had been wiped clean with no evidence of any DNA at all.
To solve this mystery, detectives will have to pull back the curtain on a glamorous affair where sex, passion, and deceit all take center stage.
He was blown away by her beauty, by her personality.
There's wine bars and there's parties on yachts. If it appears too good to be true,
Then it might be.
everything's gonna come into this boiling point.
All it takes is one time for your lie to get found out.
September 18th, 2007, 8 a.m. In the bustling city of Chicago, PR executive Leah Franklin Acox is just getting into the office when her phone rings.
Hello?
Hi, my name is Jonathan Jenkins. I'm Naila's supervisor. She didn't show up to work today.
She didn't come into work today?
Naila had a big meeting with her boss, but she did not make it.
She was known to be highly dependable, the kind of employee who always called if there was a problem.
Let me give her a call and see if I can reach her.
When Leah can't get in touch with her sister, she contacts other family members to see if they've spoken to Naila.
They didn't think it was really anything to worry about. Naila was a very busy person.
But the tone of the conversation quickly shifts when Leah speaks with her sister, Ashley.
Hey, honey, what's up?
Have you heard from Naila?
I haven't spoken to her today.
Ashley said she called Naila the night before, but she didn't pick up. She apparently texted back to say she was at dinner and would call later.
But later that night, she never called back.
Hey, something's not right.
You want me to head over there now?
Yeah.
I'm coming.
So where is 28-year-old Naila Franklin, and why isn't she picking up her phone? That answer is about to hurl this family into a bizarre and warped nightmare that will span almost a decade.
People still remember this story to this day. This definitely rocked the city of Chicago.
Born on April 12, 1979, Naila Franklin grew up in a happy, blended family in Chicago, Illinois.
Although her parents were divorced, she was very close to both of them.
All of the kids grew up enjoying a comfortable lifestyle and spent a lot of time together.
Here you are, love.
Thank you.
And for you?
Thank you.
In a household where caring for one another was a top priority, Naila was known for her generosity and tough love.
She was the first person her sisters would reach out to if they needed some advice on anything. And no matter if it was 5 in the afternoon or 5 a.m., she would always answer her phone. She was very there for her sisters.
Stop living in the past, girl.
But Sean's so pretty.
And what is that going to do for you?
Whatever she believed, she's going to let you know. She did not bite her tongue. She was feisty. She was a go-getter, and she's going to tell you how it is.
Cheers to moving on. Moving on. Yes.
Naila was a very strong-willed person, very self-assured person, very confident.
It was these same traits that propelled Naila to success at a young age.
Naila went to school at one of the top universities, University of Illinois.
She had a degree in advertising.
After college, Naila had her pick of jobs and soon landed a coveted sales position with a major pharmaceutical company in Chicago.
Naila Franklin was a pharmaceutical rep for Eli Lilly, doing very well in the company. Had the company car, had the company laptop. She made a great living with them.
She had an extensive professional network of friends. She was doing very well. She had an outgoing social life. She had a very supportive social circle and had established home ownership for herself. She was definitely a model professional.
With money, beauty, and connections, Naila Franklin was living the life.
She was living a very comfortable lifestyle, doing very well for herself, especially to be just 28 years old. She dated men of wealth, of status. So there's wine bars and there's parties on yachts.
Her love interests included people that had an education and were very successful in their field.
So it came as no surprise to anyone when in 2006, Naila caught the eye of one of the city's most eligible bachelors, 28-year-old Reginald Potts.
So they met kind of bumping into each other. Any single woman would have liked to cross paths with him.
Hey, so I take it as you're a white wine drinker?
I'm an any color wine drinker after a long day's work.
Cheers to that.
Reginald Potts was a young man. He was a successful real estate investor and good looking. He had a $225,000 Bentley that he drove around. This is a guy who has his act together.
Reginald Potts was definitely living the dream.
Naturally, the attraction between these two young dynamos was as powerful as they were.
He was blown away by her beauty, by her personality. Once they started hanging out, it became a little bit more frequent, going out to dinners, texting each other.
But despite Naila and Reginald's intense chemistry, both knew it probably wasn't meant to last.
Both of them had described it as a casual relationship.
This was all about having fun and hooking up. There were no strings attached.
So a year later, when the flames of passion finally died down, neither looked back.
Life moved on for Reginald and Naila. They both found, other people to engage in and become emotionally involved in.
For Naila, that opportunity came calling a few months later when at a gallery opening in Chicago, she met another handsome young professional. His name was Lamar Jackson.
Are you an art fan?
Naila and Lamar had an instant connection.
Well, yes, I am. That's one of the reasons why I love Chicago. How about you?
Been to contemporary art.
He was a very successful lawyer.
He had a nice place, educated, everything that a woman could want. He had it.
That night, they exchanged numbers and started dating.
Good guy, good looking guy, successful career. So also someone that had a good head on his shoulder. He did live a little bit away from Naila, Milwaukee, so they had a little bit of distance in seeing each other.
But despite the distance, all those miles up and down the interstate were well worth it for both of them.
They texted. Whenever one of them had a break in work, they would go and visit each other. They had weekend trips away.
They were at a family wedding together, and everybody thought, oh, wow, he's a good one. They got serious pretty quickly. It even got to a level of him and her deciding to possibly move in together.
So things were really looking good in her life.
But now, on September 18th, after hours of frantically searching for Naila, her family can't find her.
At this point, her family is getting really, really worried.
Where is Naila?
3 mysterious cell phone calls are about to make that question even more perplexing.
There's mystery and intrigue. As it was developing, the whole community was very attentive and concerned.
After years of life on the Chicago singles scene, it seemed young professional Naila Franklin finally met her match in 2007 when she laid eyes on a handsome young lawyer named Lamar Jackson.
They hit it off, and they were really connected. Their relationship grew very quickly.
Naila was on cloud 9. She felt like this could be the one.
But on September 18th, 2007, this highly dependable woman unexpectedly drops off the radar.
Naila Franklin didn't show up at work.
Friends and family could not get in touch with her.
By that evening, panic begins to set in for her loved ones.
Her sister Leah went to the Chicago Police Department and filed a missing persons report.
Okay, why don't we start from the beginning?
This morning, I got a call from my sister's boss saying that she didn't show up for work, and that's not normal whatsoever.
Though Naila's sister is clearly distraught, detectives encourage her not to assume the worst.
9 times out of 10, when people are missing persons, they tend to show up, on their own accord.
She could have just taken off and decided that she wanted to go on a vacation, go under the radar.
But Leah insists that just wasn't Naila.
The theory of Naila just going away for a while was absurd to people that knew her closely.
She would never just leave. She's a very dependable person.
Naila was so close to her sisters. If she did have to travel, she would definitely let them know that she wasn't going to be available.
And there's something else that concerns Naila's family.
I called our other sister, Ashley, and she told me that she got a text message from Naila last night saying that she would call her back after dinner, but she never called her back.
The text was A little strange being that it didn't really sound like her, I think was the first hunch that something was just different. Something was maybe just a little off.
Detectives are unsure if Ashley is just upset about her sister's disappearance, or maybe it's a sign that Naila is unable to speak freely or not in possession of her phone.
The next day, police obtain a warrant to search Naila's apartment for possible clues to her disappearance.
When they came to her apartment, everything was in place.
You know, wasn't in a ransacked condition, but yet some important items missing.
She had a company-issued laptop that was gone. Her personal laptop was gone. Pharmaceuticals of hers are missing.
One of the things that was very unusual was our cell phone was missing.
A look inside Naila's apartment complex garage reveals something else.
She had a Chevy that the company provided that was also missing.
For investigators, these disturbing discoveries open the door to even more possibilities.
There were so many theories that were thrown around.
In the case of Naila, she's young, she's beautiful, she has her own volition, she can do whatever she wants, so nothing's off the table. People think they know everything about us, and oftentimes they don't.
And yet this could be a sign of something more sinister. Perhaps a stalker, perhaps an ex who had kidnapped her, perhaps someone who had targeted her for her automobile or her pharmaceuticals.
But it's when police subpoena Naila's phone records that their suspicion really goes up.
There were, in fact, recorded 3 calls from Naila's cell phone the night she disappeared to 911.
The bizarre thing was that when they requisitioned the recordings from 911, they found that there was no other voice on the other end of the phone. It was just silence.
Now you're really concerned because are they incapacitated? Are they scared? Or are they just in a position where the person's about to give them grave bodily harm and, you know, they can't really speak?
In need of a lead, detectives meet with Naila's family again.
Now, did Naila have any enemies that you knew of, or anybody that might want to hurt her?
She could be really opinionated, so she would stir things up, but mostly people really liked her.
And was she dating anyone?
Yes, a man named Lamar Jackson.
In general, when a woman goes missing, they look at the boyfriend first. The reason being, the boyfriend's the one that's closest to her, and they think, okay, a domestic dispute.
Do you have a way we can contact him?
He lives in Milwaukee, but he's here in Chicago right now.
According to the family, drove all the way from Milwaukee into Chicago to assist the family and be with them at that time.
Of course, detectives had to consider, could he have been in Chicago all along and had something to do with Naila's disappearance?
Detectives immediately contact Lamar and ask him to come to the station for an interview.
They asked him questions to determine when the last time he saw her.
When was the last time you saw Naila?
The weekend before she went missing.
How was that visit?
It was nice. It was good. Nothing out of the ordinary.
She had went out to see him, so she'd spent a few days away from home.
No fights?
No. We hung out on the weekend. She drove back to Chicago that Sunday. I haven't seen her since.
He said they were planning on seeing each other again and doing something together.
During the interview, the detectives are observing Lamar looking for anything suspicious, but they don't see it. But there's a nagging voice in the back of their heads. This guy's a lawyer. He knows what the police want to hear.
So where were you the night that she went missing?
It was in Milwaukee.
He had a firm alibi. In fact, his travel record confirmed that he wasn't even in the state of Illinois at the time.
But Lamar reveals something else that's key to the investigation.
The night she went missing, I tried to call her. She didn't pick up, but I got a text from her later on that night. Said out to dinner, and I'll call you back. It just seemed strange.
The answer to the text didn't sound like the kind of text that Naila would send to him.
This was disturbing to police because it corroborates what Naila's sister, Ashley, had already told them about Naila's text. And it gives even more credence to the theory that something was keeping Naila from communicating freely.
Lamar says he never heard back from Naila that night, and he sent her a concerned email the next morning.
I just jokingly said, "Are you alive?"
In retrospect, it's a question that seems terribly ominous. But the case is about to take a far spookier turn.
It gets really cryptic. It gets really eerie. The city pretty much was on pins and needles.
36 hours after the disappearance of Naila Franklin, police are no closer to discovering the whereabouts of this beautiful 28-year-old woman.
They had no clues that pointed to where she was or who could have been involved in her disappearance.
But just 25 miles outside of Chicago in Calumet City, a police officer named Calvin Lucius is about to make a game-changing discovery.
I was working in patrol. On that particular night, I was working our Zone 4, which is the business district that covers the mall, the car lots, the golf course, restaurants that we have in town.
While making his rounds through an area golf course parking lot, he spots something strange.
I noticed 6 perfectly stacked boxes along the curb. And just the way that the boxes were stacked, I knew that it wasn't garbage. I opened one of the boxes up and noticed that they contained sample trials of different medication. My first thought was a doctor's office got broken into and somebody stole these drugs. I thought they were going to use them for some type of narcotics or something.
But when Officer Lucius returns to the station to log this medication, he notices something else.
One of the boxes was a shipping label from UPS, and it had the name Naila Franklin on there. That's when the dots connected that Naila Franklin was the lady missing out of Chicago.
These were obviously her missing pharmaceutical supplies.
Officer Lucius immediately reaches out to Chicago detectives.
Hello?
Hello, this is Officer Lucius. My call is in reference to this medication I found in these boxes on the side of the street down here. I'm pretty sure they belong to Naila Franklin.
We're coming right there now. Thank you very much.
This new discovery forces them to consider a worst-case scenario.
In a situation like this, where you can't find the missing person, but you begin to find evidence of their property, it triggers foul play thoughts.
Later that night, Chicago investigators arrive in Calumet City and begin combing the area for clues. They quickly home in on a pond not far from where Naila's pharmaceuticals were found.
They saw the pond and said, we'll cover all our bases, make sure that she's not in the pond.
In Calumet City, they dredged. You know, you got the divers in the water searching with no discovery.
But amidst a grove of trees encircling the water, cops turn up another disturbing piece of evidence.
They found pieces of jewelry, earrings and bracelets in that immediate area.
Naila's family felt that they belonged to Naila.
While these strange clues don't do much to propel the investigation forward, they do help detectives rule out one thing.
Previously, detectives were floating the idea that a botched robbery could have led to her disappearance.
But none of the drugs were touched and her jewelry was still there.
In a robbery, that would not have been the case.
Now, 48 hours into the investigation, the resilient Franklin family still refuses to abandon hope that Naila could be found alive.
My gut is that my sister is alive. She's in distress and needs us to locate her.
To raise awareness about her case, her sister Leah, a PR executive, takes matters into her own hands.
Her sister did this huge PR campaign to let people know that she is missing.
She called a huge meeting and hundreds of people gathered to distribute flyers, to knock on doors. She really rallied to get people talking about this case.
In a town where a missing Black woman really gets extensive media coverage, Naila's story is soon front and center.
There is this stigma that if a Black woman goes missing or violence happened towards her, it has to do with gangs or guns. This story was completely different.
Naila was a well-known, well-liked, beautiful, professional woman who vanished. And it was scary, not only for her family, but for women like her, because this could have happened to any of us.
The city was an uproar. I mean, everyone was looking for her. They were, feeling really bad. They thought, what could have happened to her?
I also remember the search party and how people were volunteering to actively participate with the family to get the word out. If you saw her.
At one point, there was a reward offered for any information leading to her recovery.
This flurry of attention soon garners an important tip.
You did hear it on the news, okay? You sure it's an Impala? And your address? You said Hammond, Indiana?
On the 21st of September, right across the borderline in Hammond, Indiana, her vehicle is discovered, and it's legally parked on a residential street.
Investigators impound the vehicle and take it back to the station for processing. What evidence techs discover is ominous.
So what did y'all find when y'all searched the vehicle?
Man, I couldn't find anything. In fact, it looks like somebody intentionally wiped the plane.
There's no fingerprints. It's been wiped clean of all DNA. It's really painting a pretty gory picture as to what, could have happened to her.
Someone had obviously gone to some trouble to cover their tracks.
Hope for a happy ending started to fade upon discovery of her car.
But despite detectives' newfound fears, they now have a hunch where Nailah Franklin may be located.
They found her car in Hammond. It was maybe 3 miles away from where the boxes were found at. If you look at the map, which is a straight shot between there, so we kind of all came up like she's going to be along this straight shot.
On September 22nd, officers from Calumet City, Illinois, and Hammond, Indiana begin scouring the area for any sign of the missing woman. For Calvin Lucius, the officer who discovered Nailah's pharmaceutical supplies, the hunt is personal.
I didn't know Nailah, but we had a lot of friends in common because our high schools were not that far from each other, and we graduated at the same time. So I wanted to get out there and help the family, search for her and help them find the closure that they needed. We started looking at places where there was not a lot of traffic at, where you could possibly dump a body. We eliminated a 1.5 mile stretch because you had a lot of traffic, and we really started our focus on where can you go and not easily, be seen by the public or people driving by.
But after 5 days of searching vacant lots and hidden alleyways, cops have still turned up nothing.
It was like searching for a needle in a haystack, a needle that they were not even sure was there.
Then on September 27th, 2007, 9 days after Nailah went missing, one of Calvin Lucius's colleagues summons him to the back of an abandoned video store.
We grabbed our flashlights. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. We start walking into the woods to see if we see anything that's out of place.
The police officer in Calumet City has been in this extensive search for a long period of time, and he discovered something strange in this field, and it wasn't right.
And once officers return from their trip into the tall grass, the city of Chicago will never be the same.
It was a pretty gruesome discovery.
Everybody's nightmares had come to fruition.
Officers in Calumet City, Illinois, and Hammond, Indiana, have been searching a 3-mile radius for what they believe may hold the remains of missing Chicagoan Nailah Franklin.
Because the police found her property in Calumet City, Illinois, in her car in Hammond, Indiana, they feel her body must be somewhere in between, but they can't find anything.
But now it's 4 a.m. on September 27th, and 2 Calumet City officers are searching a vacant lot behind an abandoned video store.
There was one patch of grassy weeds that was probably waist high, but there was a perfect path in that grass. So I followed that path 5 or 6 steps in.
Oh my God.
That's where I saw a body that was in a shallow grave. I've seen dead bodies before, but I'd probably say that's my first time seeing it like that bad.
This young lady's been out here, and her condition is very poor. She's been exposed to the weather. The heat is hot. She's left in an unprotected area, and animals have had their way with the body as well.
She was very badly decomposed. You visually couldn't tell who it was.
But Officer Lucius fears he already knows the victim's identity.
The proximity of where the boxes was found and her car was found, and was most likely Nailah Franklin. Maybe 10 minutes after I found her, it was a clear night. 10 minutes later, it was so foggy that you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. So I think it was kind of her way of saying that she was at peace, that now that she's been found and she could be returned back to her family. At that point, our supervisors, they contacted Chicago, come in and collect all the evidence, because in the long run, it'd be less people in the collection process.
The next morning, on September 28, 2007, dental records confirm what detectives suspected.
It was Nailah Franklin.
That was the most devastating day for the Franklin family.
She's not just missing. You know, she's not being held somewhere. We know what happened to her.
It was heartbreaking for the entire city. This was a case that the entire city was watching very closely and was rooting for her safe return. Everybody, their first reaction was, what monster would do this?
Given the state of the body, detectives face a terrifying possibility.
Since Naila was found naked, they were wondering, could this be a sex-related crime? And if so, is there some predator out there that is searching for his next victim?
But when the autopsy results come back the next day, this hypothesis is quickly put to bed.
There didn't appear to be any evidence of a sexual assault, but it was indicative of a personal attack.
Asphyxiation was the ultimate cause of death.
Yet despite finding Naila's body, investigators are no closer to identifying a suspect. Until Naila's best friend, Dana McClellan, comes forward with a story and a potential piece of evidence.
Naila told me that if anything ever happened to her, to give the police her email passwords. So I brought it in.
Naila was very afraid and had even told people that something could happen to me.
But what had made Naila so frightened?
According to Dana, this had to do with a man that she briefly dated, a man named Reginald Potts.
Reginald Potts was, on the surface, the guy that every single girl wanted to meet. He was an investment broker with his own company.
But Dana says as her friend's relationship with Reginald deepened, Naila sensed something wasn't quite right about Mr. Perfect.
She couldn't really pin down what was wrong with him.
That he popped up on the scene and nobody could really relate back to where'd he come from.
But then one night she was at a party and one of her friends told her, you know, this guy is not who you think he is.
Her friends had mentioned it to her that he had, made a pass at them while they were at a party together. That made her angry and angrier.
She thought, who was this guy who thought he could get away with something like that in this tight-knit professional circle?
That's when Naila started doing some digging on Reginald.
Naila decided to look into it. She had one of her friends to do a background check on Reginald.
Her friend's sister is a lawyer, so she got her to do a background check on him.
Dana says what Naila uncovered about Reginald was nothing short of breathtaking.
He was hiding the fact that he was indeed a convicted criminal.
He has 8 felony convictions and also 3 misdemeanor convictions.
We're talking car theft, violence against women, order of protections up the wazoo.
There's records of him calling police officers that have arrested him in the past and then make these vile threats like, watch out because I'm going to get you, I'm going to get your wife, I'm going to get your children.
He was even charged for escaping the custody of the FBI.
It was an interesting case because usually people don't escape federal custody. It made the papers.
It took the FBI 2 weeks to recapture Potts from his escape from the Metropolitan Correctional Center, and ultimately he got probation.
The list continues to go on, and it's pretty dangerous.
So this guy was basically an outlaw.
But how had this career criminal become so successful in the 2 years since his release from prison?
Naila learned a lot more about Reginald by reaching out to an ex-girlfriend. And what she discovered and learned about this is that his entire public persona was nothing but smoke and mirrors.
He had 3 children, and he was in debt on child support.
The $225,000 Bentley that he had was actually somebody that he kind of tricked into buying for him, and he promised to pay this guy back, but the first check had bounced.
For a confident, educated woman like Naila, Reginald's laundry list of bad deeds was more than she could tolerate.
Naila, she was a smart girl. I think when she found out what she found out, she was just ready to kind of cut all ties with him.
She told him she didn't want to see him again, and they had a couple of heated phone conversations. He had basically told her, like, it doesn't matter what you say, I'm a very wealthy man. A lot of women will always be attracted to me.
And according to Dana, Naila thought that was the end of Reginald Potts. But then in August of 2007, his name came up again.
Naila had discovered he was dating someone in her professional circle. It was a concern for her. She wanted to say, hello, girl, you need to watch out for him. He is very dangerous.
I think it was kind of her, like, woman instincts. I've got to help another woman. I wouldn't want someone to know this information and not tell it to me if I'm dating a guy. So I have to kind of pass it along to her. You should know what you're getting into. There's some serious red flags with this guy. So she sent her this email telling her about some things that she found out, along with the link to an article that went over his escape from FBI custody.
She even CC'd this guy, you know, she sent him copies. Hey, I'm blowing your cover and lies.
This triggered an email battle between both Reginald and Naila.
The exchange did end up escalating. It went from email to, text messages to then voicemails.
Potts' response to her was to threaten to expose, if you will, a sex tape.
But apparently, it wasn't the risk of embarrassment that most concerned Naila.
One of the scariest voicemails that Potts left was telling Naila that he would erase her. And she let other people hear it because she was so scared after that. She really feared for her life.
She did obviously have some feelings of apprehensions against Potts, but she was a woman of conviction. She wasn't a pushover. She's not going to be bullied.
She called the police department to find out how to file a protective order.
Then Naila issued one final warning to Reginald.
You're gonna be back in jail, I promise. Like, you messed with the wrong chick this time.
She notified him just to kind of say, continue playing, you will go to jail.
8 days later, Naila disappeared. To detectives, it's a chilling tale. And after confirming the heated email exchanges are indeed real, it thrusts Reginald Potts to the top of their suspect list.
That's really when he became, I think, the main suspect.
But when investigators haul Reginald in for an interview, he seems like a man with nothing to hide.
When Reginald was questioned, he seemed to be really cooperating. He was giving all the answers that the police were asking.
So what was your relationship with Naila Franklin?
We dated, she was beautiful, fun to be around, nothing too serious.
So you guys are not seeing each other anymore?
No, I actually haven't talked to her since August.
They weren't really a part of each other's lives anymore.
That's when detectives present him with evidence of the profanity-laced emails he sent to the victim.
And it seems like you weren't very happy because she was spreading your business around town.
Who would be?
We also heard you threatened to erase her?
No, man, I got sisters. I would never say such a thing.
He said he's a good guy. He would never hurt a woman.
So, you wouldn't mind telling us where you were the night she disappeared?
Not at all. Me and some of the guys actually went to the grocery store.
He was hanging with some friends. They made a shopping trip at Target.
You won't mind us checking out your alibi, do you? We're right back.
Given Reginald's criminal past, detectives aren't about to take his word for it.
Questioned a friend, Howard, who Potts gave as an alibi, and he confirmed Reginald's alibi.
Everyone thought, okay, well, maybe it's not him. Maybe this guy is telling the truth.
But if Reginald was being honest, who could have killed Naila Franklin? Soon, information about a mysterious man seen lurking in Naila's apartment complex is about to shift this case into overdrive.
It was so shocking.
An ongoing online feud between Naila Franklin and her former lover, Reginald Potts, seemed like a perfect recipe for murder. That was until Reginald provided police with a rock-solid alibi.
Potts's alibi did check out.
Hoping to drum up some new leads, detectives head to the victim's residence to question her neighbors.
They talked to a lot of people in the condo. Some residents, some neighbors of Naila Franklin had seen something that police were extremely interested in.
They saw a man kind of lurking around the stairwells.
There's a black man in his 30s. One of the neighbors thought he looked so suspicious, he even asked him his name.
To try to identify this stranger, detectives pull the building's surveillance camera footage from September 18th. What they discover is jaw-dropping.
God. This suspicious man that was kind of lurking around was Reginald Potts. They were actually on the elevator together. He was pulling her. It clearly showed that she was going somewhere against her will.
But if the contents of this tape seem indisputable, how does that explain Reginald's seemingly airtight alibi?
The surveillance tapes contradict what Potts and his alibi friend had told the police. The next stop for detectives was the retail store where Potts and his friend supposedly had been.
So they pull the store's video surveillance, And sure enough, there's Reginald's friend, Howard Denton, there on the night of the 18th in the early evening hours.
Potts was not with his friend on any of the surveillance cameras from that store.
Howard Denton, the man who vouched for Reginald's alibi.
Howard, it seems like the story you told us earlier wasn't true.
Confronted with this under pressure, Potts' friend, Howard, now admits that, in fact, he had lied and he was covering for his friend.
Reggie had called me, said he was in Hammond that night. His car had broken down and he needed a ride, so I went down to pick him up.
Reginald Potts is really good at what he does. Not only can he pull off a lie that people really believe, but now he has other people lying and creating stories that the cops at first bought into.
But as soon as Howard starts talking with police, Reginald's lies begin to catch up with him.
The day Nailah Franklin went missing, Reginald Potts had his friend pick him up not too far from where Nailah Franklin's car was found.
Next, detectives subpoena Reginald's cell phone records and compare them with Nailah's.
When you're driving, your cell phone switches from tower to tower. That keeps the reception good. These phones were bouncing off the same signal towers at the same time.
The police were able to place Reginald Potts and Nailah's cell phone together the entire way, from him leaving Nailah's building all the way to Calumet City and to Hammond, Indiana, and back.
At a minimum, this proved that Reginald lied when he said he wasn't with Nailah that night, but it suggested something far more concerning.
For detectives, this discovery allows them to formulate a theory, and it's a chilling one.
The evolving theory of the detectives now is that Potts has, in fact, murdered Miss Franklin. His friends were able to transport him back from Hammond, Indiana. And he's, in fact, has even gone so far as to utilize her cell phones. And he's in an attempt to cover his tracks at this point.
On December 7th, 2007, 30-year-old Reginald Potts is arrested and charged with first-degree murder.
This was a huge relief, not only to Nailah's family and her friends, but to the whole city of Chicago. It was shocking what Potts had done.
As for Nailah's family, they can't wait to see Reginald's day in court.
Once they found out it was him, they wanted to see justice.
But what no one yet knows is that this con man has another play up his sleeve. In fact, what's already become a nightmare for Nailah's loved ones is about to become an 8-year descent into hell.
This process murdered each and every family member every day.
On December 7th, 2007, nearly 3 months after Nailah Franklin was reported missing, Chicago police arrested Reginald Potts for the killing of his former girlfriend. But if this master manipulator has his way, the case may never see the light of day.
He knew how to manipulate the criminal justice system to delay the trial as long as he possibly could. He constantly changed attorneys.
He said, hey, I'm going to represent myself. And the next day he would change his mind.
Reginald Potts thought this trial was the circus and he was the ringleader.
8 long years pass, and still no justice for Nailah Franklin.
This delay of the trial was very hard on their family. Nailah's father had passed away in between, and his family said that he died of a broken heart.
Finally, in October of 2015, it looks like Reginald Potts has run out of plays.
The judge just said, this is enough, and assigned a public defender to him, and then they proceeded with the case.
On October 28th, Reginald's trial opens to a packed Chicago courtroom.
Nailah Franklin's family was there from the opening statements to the closing statements.
In their opening statements, prosecutors portray Reginald Potts as a con man, determined to erase the woman who tried to expose him.
Nailah Franklin made him look in the mirror and say, you're not this person that you're presenting to everybody. And the fact that she was onto him really pissed him off.
He's put some energy into making people believe that he's a certain type of person, and he just wasn't going to let her throw all that away, no matter what it took.
According to the prosecution, Reginald stalked Nailah for days before luring her out of her apartment on September 18, 2007.
They think that he strangled her in the parking garage of her building. At that point, he placed her body in the trunk of her car, drove to Calumet City, where he removed all of her property as well as the body, and then drove the car across state lines, wiping it of any fingerprints.
Prosecution witnesses testify that behind the defendant's alluring facade was a dangerous predator who repeatedly victimized women.
Reginald Potts' ex-wife had taken the stand and said basically Reginald Potts had hit her while she was pregnant, tried to choke her, and Reginald Potts' ex-girlfriend had testified about the abuse he had inflicted on her. People were really paying attention to that.
Despite the lack of physical evidence tying Reginald to the crime, the case against him was convincing.
They did have some very strong circumstantial evidence. The cell phone tower records linking him to Naila's phone, also the surveillance footage put him with Naila right around the time that she left her apartment on September 17th.
And it was later discovered that the video store where Naila was found belonged to Reginald Potts' brother-in-law.
That didn't seem like it could be a coincidence.
But as compelling as all this evidence is, Reginald's defense team is quick to point out a fact not even the prosecution can easily refute.
Potts' defense, of course, argued that all of the things connecting him to the murder were circumstantial.
Trying to convict somebody on circumstantial evidence is tough. The defense's strategy was there were no eyewitness statements, there was no DNA, there were no fingerprints.
On November 10th, 2015, the jury adjourns for deliberation.
It took them less than 3 hours to come back with a verdict.
The verdict was guilty.
I wanted to stand up and cheer because I was just so happy that the family got the justice they were looking for.
But for Reginald, once a con man, always a con man. At his sentencing hearing 4 months later, he's still spinning a yarn.
He basically said that he didn't do this crime. He's not going to rot in jail. He's going to spend every minute trying to fight for his innocence.
But this is one situation Reginald Potts finally can't worm his way out of.
The community was ecstatic that he was found liable for the murder of Naila Franklin.
The judge gave him natural life in prison without the possibility of parole.
It's the closure the Franklin family has yearned for nearly a decade.
One of them actually said that they can breathe again. They weren't at peace not knowing.
Although nothing can ever bring back Naila Franklin, this is one Chicago woman who will never be forgotten.
She still lives on in the hearts of those people who love her.
Naila's spirit, her story, will never be erased. And she's a testament to, even if you do everything right in the dating world and just in your professional space, sometimes you can't avoid crazy.
A vibrant young college student goes missing from her Southern California town.
My mom calls me and says, Kathy didn't come home. And I said, oh my God.
It was not like her. She would never not come home.
Her family struggles to put together the pieces to the puzzle.
She couldn't remember what happened. I said, how could you not remember?
We started wondering if she had possibly been drugged and sexually assaulted.
Everyone was really concerned what would make him commit suicide. We were torn apart.
It was just something that no one wants to ever hear.
As days pass, investigators uncover evidence of a love triangle fueled by jealous anger.
It's possible that this was some type of retaliation.
Everyone in Placentia was asking, what happened to Kathy Torres?
February 12th, 1994. It's a lazy Saturday night in Placentia, California, a suburb of Los Angeles. Like many of her peers, 20-year-old honor student Kathy Torres works an after-school job, and her mother Mary expects her home by 9 p.m. But on this night, Kathy is unusually late.
Hello?
Have you heard from Kathy?
No. Why?
She got off work over an hour ago.
She's not home yet?
No.
By midnight, Kathy still hasn't returned home.
We're talking early 90s. This is on the dawn of cell phones. Nobody has a cell phone. So Mary is trying really hard to find out where her daughter is.
With Kathy still MIA the following morning, Mary reaches out to her older daughter, Tina, for help.
Hello? The next morning, my mom calls me and says, Kathy didn't come home.
What do you mean?
I said, oh my gosh. Okay. So then my mom's like, well, let's call her friends, call everybody.
Okay. Okay, I'll call.
Kathy's family spends most of the day calling around, but no one has seen or heard from her.
Hey, sorry to wake you up. Have you seen Kathy?
After 36 hours with no sign of Kathy, her worried mother contacts police.
My mom called the Placentia PD and they said, well, maybe she just wanted to get a break from everything. After all, she's 20 years old. And then my mom was telling these people, no, you don't know Kathy.
My daughter is an honor student. She works 2 jobs. She's very responsible.
They weren't taking us seriously.
So Kathy's family takes the search into their own hands.
I got a picture, a makeshift flyer, handwritten.
If you can do me a favor and post those around campus, okay? Gabriella, can you take these down to the shopping center?
Sure. We were all out looking for her, passing out flyers in Placentia, neighboring cities, everywhere we can think of.
Friends and family members drive all over Placentia looking not just for Kathy, but also for her red Toyota Corolla.
We just thought if we find the car, then we'll find some information on Kathy.
Unfortunately, no one can find any sign of her. It's as if Kathy has simply vanished into thin air. But this desperate search is just the beginning of a mystery that would consume a family and community for over 2 decades.
It was one of the most notorious cold cases in Placentia's history.
Kathy Torres was born in Placentia, California on June 4th, 1973, the second oldest of 4 siblings.
She was my little sister, and so I treated her like a little baby doll.
The neighborhood where Kathy grew up seemed far removed from the hustle and bustle of sprawling Southern California.
In our area of Placentia, everybody knew each other, and we were able to play on the street.
Throughout that neighborhood, Kathy was known as the little girl with the big, bright smile.
Kathy was a very happy person. Wherever she was, she smiled and she just lit up the place.
That enthusiasm could also be seen in Kathy's approach to school.
She was part of the Honor Society Club. She was part of the Mesa Club, straight A student.
She wanted to learn. She loved to learn. We had tons of books all over the place in our house. And Kathy would spend a lot of time reading.
Like most girls her age, Kathy would occasionally date, but she wasn't looking for a serious relationship.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, what are you doing? I'm studying, so like...
Oh, some of us actually go to class. School, you know? You ever heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. How about on Friday, you come out with me to the movies?
Alright, I can make time for that.
She dated a couple people during our high school years, but her responsibility to her goals, achieving those dreams of hers, always came first.
Her dream was to get into a 4-year university, and she got accepted to every school that she applied to.
In 1991, Kathy enrolled in nearby Cal State Fullerton. While attending school full-time, she worked 2 jobs, including one as a tutor.
Good job. Now try writing, I am going to the park, and then saying it.
She worked at the high school teaching students that were learning English as a second language.
She wanted to be involved in the community and help minorities, especially Hispanics. She was a true role model.
Perfect. Yeah, there you go. Good job.
She wanted to make her community a better place. And she led by example. She was doing everything she can to show everyone, look, I can do it. I'm from the same community. You can do it as well.
While Kathy's academic potential seemed limited only by her own ambition, in early 1994, the pretty second-year co-ed also began watering the seeds of love.
Kathy began dating Albert Rangel, a childhood friend.
They were great friends before they introduced a possibility of a relationship.
So how are classes going?
They're really good. My favorite's English Lit. Professor is so nice.
She felt that Albert was starting to see her as more than just a friend. And they were taking it very slow.
So, a couple of my friends are going to have this get-together this weekend. You want to go?
Yeah, sure.
But then, on February 7th, tragedy struck.
Albert attempted to commit suicide by hanging. He was still alive at that point, but was in the hospital in intensive care on life support.
Kathy was devastated. The tears, the agony, the pain. I think it was a shock for her.
He's in a coma. He's in a hospital bed. And to a young woman like that, she's in her second year of college. That's a huge event for anybody to experience. But she's going through this whole process of, could I have said something different? Did I say something to spark this?
We were all in disbelief. It was just something that no one wants to ever hear or go through.
Now, 5 days after Albert's suicide attempt, Kathy's family is going through their own personal nightmare, and it's growing ever scarier by the day.
Everyone was wondering, was there some connection to Albert's suicide, or was it simply a coincidence?
When 20-year-old California college student Kathy Torres failed to return home after her shift at a local drugstore, Kathy's concerned friends and family sprang into action.
We started passing out flyers. We started calling people to ask if anybody had seen her. But everyone said no.
We had high school students that she had mentored throughout the years, acquaintances from her school, coming to my mom's house and saying, how can we help?
As Kathy's disappearance becomes front-page news, police begin their investigation into the case.
We learned that she was one of those young ladies that was going to be very successful in life. She was working. She had good family ties. Not that it wasn't possible she ran off for some reason, but it just wasn't probable that that was the case.
Is there anything missing in the house that you know of?
No, just her car.
Family members tell detectives about Kathy's budding relationship with Albert Rangel, including his recent suicide attempt.
You think that has anything to do with her disappearance?
She was distraught, but it's just not like her to just disappear.
But then, Kathy's sister Tina tells detectives about a disturbing event that occurred the weekend before Kathy vanished.
Last Saturday night, Kathy came home and she was acting really strange.
Strange how?
Like she was drunk, but she wasn't.
She was really out of it.
Mom, what's wrong with Kathy?
What happened? Tina, get some water.
She was not known to drink. She was not known to smoke. Her brother Marty had to actually help her into the house, which just was out of character for Kathy.
What happened to you? I don't know.
She remembers going to a house. It was a gathering and there was a lot of people there, but she didn't know whose house it was.
According to her family, Kathy could only remember bits and pieces of the night.
Did you drive yourself home? I think so.
Her family says that's when Kathy came to a shocking realization.
I don't feel my underwear. I don't think I have some underwear. What? I can't remember it.
Investigators note the similarities between her experience in date rape situations.
Mary described Kathy as a very moral young lady, not the type of young lady who would be engaging necessarily in premarital sex. We started wondering if she had possibly been drugged and sexually assaulted.
Could someone have slipped Kathy a date rape drug? And could that same person now be the one responsible for her disappearance?
It's speculated that she was given an open container and something was placed in it.
She couldn't remember what happened. I said, how could you not remember? And she goes, I can't remember.
Family members say the next morning, they realized Kathy's car had been vandalized.
When her mom was going to use her car, she found out that her tires had been slashed.
They were slashed so bad that I could put 3 of my fingers into one of the slashes.
Despite the suspicious nature of the events, Kathy's family says they decided not to call the police.
Kathy's rushed because she needs to get to work and the discussion is kind of tabled.
Then 2 days later, Kathy's boyfriend Albert hung himself.
We kind of put away the thing about the tires and what happened to her to the devastation that she was going through, her trauma dealing with someone that she knew who tried to commit suicide.
Had these tragic events somehow led to Kathy's disappearance? Detectives know that's a very real and chilling possibility.
The concern was, well, gee, if the Rangel family is blaming Kathy, could a potential suspect be there?
As detectives in Placentia, California investigate the disappearance of 20-year-old Kathy Torres, they begin focusing on a series of bizarre events that occurred a week before Kathy vanished.
First, you have Kathy coming home in a state as if she had been date raped. And then a couple of days later, her boyfriend attempts to kill himself. And now Kathy's missing. You have to wonder, are all of these events somehow connected?
There's no way that Albert could have been responsible for Kathy's disappearance. He had been in a coma days before her disappearance. But there were rumors that someone in his family could have been involved.
There had been some talk potentially that Albert Rangel's attempted suicide may have been linked to something going on between he and Kathy. It's one of the things that made us think, well, geez, is there something else we need to be looking at here? Maybe a love triangle or something like that.
It's possible that that family is very, very upset and thinks that Kathy's responsible for the Albert situation and that this was some type of retaliation.
Detectives did go and speak with the Rangel family, who flat out denied those claims.
But as detectives move to investigate the love triangle lead further, they learn of another person in Kathy's life, 23-year-old Sam Lopez.
Sam Lopez was someone who she had dated in high school, and she stayed in contact with him.
They lived literally right across a cul-de-sac from one another.
As Sam might be in possession of critical information regarding Kathy's whereabouts, police interview him on February 17th.
How long have you known Kathy? Jeez, I've known her for over 5 years. To this day, I have not met another girl like Kathy. She's always happy. She was always a happy person.
We started asking him, when's the last time you saw Kathy? You know of any problems she was having?
Thursday. Last Thursday. Yeah, she paged me.
Sam tells detectives that Kathy needed to see him, so they arranged to meet at Fullerton Community College, where Sam was taking classes.
I met her at the parking lot, and she asked me for some weed, and that totally shocked me because I just never heard her ask for weed.
Sam says when he asked Kathy what was wrong, she told him she was upset over Albert's suicide attempt.
She was sorry for him doing that because she thought it was her fault. I think she was trying to hide from her problems by smoking out. You think so? Well, why would she ask me for some weed? Why would she smoke out if she never does it?
Sam says Kathy kept asking him for marijuana, but he refused to get her any.
The minute I said no to her, she blew up. She started cussing me out. And she never cussed me out. Never. She started cussing me out. She said, well, you know what? I'm going to get somebody else.
Was it possible that the seemingly straight-laced honor student had a wild side? One that might have gotten her in with the wrong crowd.
Detectives aren't sure what to think at this point.
Detectives then ask Sam about his whereabouts on the night Kathy disappeared.
I went to my girlfriend's store. And I was there till they closed, which was a little bit after 8. Then, what did I do that day? Somebody paged me. I picked my cousin up again.
To verify Sam's alibi, detectives contact Sam's cousin, Javier Lopez.
Javier does corroborate Sam's story, so the detectives feel that Sam doesn't have anything to do with Kathy's disappearance.
But before investigators wrap up their interview with Sam, they ask him one last routine question.
You remember what clothes you were on Saturday? I think it was a guess. What shirt?
They asked Sam if he would turn over his clothes for routine DNA testing, and he was willing to.
Over the next 2 days, police continue to search for Kathy. Then on February 19th, 1 week after Kathy's mysterious disappearance, there's a breakthrough.
That night, a police officer was driving through the parking lot of a local hospital about 2 miles from Kathy's home when she spotted a car, a red Toyota Corolla.
Patrol to dispatch. Can you run a tag for me?
There had now been this APB put out for the vehicle. She saw the vehicle, pulled in, verified the license plate.
Owner of vehicle is Kathy Torres.
When the trunk of the car is opened, everyone's worst fears are realized.
What do we have here?
Let's find out.
There she is in the trunk. There was a lot of blood. Appeared that she had multiple stab wounds from what we could tell through her clothing and such.
At 7 a.m., Kathy's family receives the news they've been dreading.
Did you find Kathy?
The officer, he came in and
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I never heard from his mouth that she was dead because my heart and my tears were so loud that everything was gone. And all I could remember was him standing there and all of us just crying.
We were torn apart. Torn apart. Everybody knew Kathy. They knew how she was and how full of life she was. It was just unbelievable. Who would do that to such a good person?
As Kathy's body is transported to the coroner's office, detectives scour the crime scene. It seems unlikely Kathy died on the hospital grounds.
Where the car was parked was 80 feet from the emergency room doors where the ambulances come in and people are going in and out. We believe that the crime occurred somewhere else. She was placed in the trunk. The car was transported there and dumped.
Kathy's car provides investigators with several clues.
There's obvious evidence in the car that a fight of some type had occurred in the car. Part of the gear shift's broken. There's blood in the car.
It appeared she may have been stabbed while sitting in the passenger seat because there were these areas that were void of blood.
Kathy's body is fully clothed, with the exception of her right foot.
So we've got this hiking boot here and this soiled, dirty sock.
That looks like she was running.
May have been running.
She's obviously been through a brutal attack. It gave the indication that it started in the car. Kathy tried to flee. Shoe came off. She got dirt on the bottom of her sock. Then it continued, and ultimately she was put into the trunk of the car.
There's one other clue in the car, a letter that Kathy appeared to be writing.
There was a note that was folded up. It was half written. It said something to the effect of, Saturday the 12th, everybody was buying V. It's just before Valentine's Day, and our assumption was that she was going to be writing Valentine's Day.
It looks incomplete. Maybe interrupted?
Possibly.
Could this note be the key to solving Kathy's murder? Investigators don't know, but one thing is for certain. The stakes are rising by the day. On February 19th, 1994, 1 week after Kathy Torres disappeared, Placentia police have found her body stuffed inside the trunk of her car and abandoned in the parking lot of a nearby hospital.
We knew that it was a brutal attack. We believe that there were in excess of 50 stab wounds.
In addition, Kathy's wrists and throat were slashed.
The brutality of the attack suggested that it was personal, that she was killed by someone she knew.
Detectives wonder if the unfinished note found in the car can lead them to a suspect. But as investigators review Kathy's note, it isn't the watershed moment they hope. Instead, it's a story from Kathy's friend, Gabriella Galvin, that takes this story in an unexpected direction.
Hello?
The week before she went missing, she had spent the day on an outing with Sam Lopez.
Kathy is supposed to be dating Albert Rangel. So the question is, what is she doing on the town with Sam Lopez?
Given this development, detectives decide to run a routine background check on Sam Lopez. What they discover is eye-opening.
It turns out Sam Lopez had been cited a week before Kathy's death for running a stop sign. And not only was Sam driving Kathy's car, but he was with her the night that she came home in a foggy, disoriented state.
Good evening, sir. You know why I stopped you tonight?
No, officer, I do not.
You failed to stop at the stop sign back there. License and registration, please.
Of course. My registration's right here. My license.
Miss, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
That officer said that it looked like Sam and Kathy had been either in an argument or some kind of fight, heated discussion.
Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I was just taking her home, officer. She's fine.
He cited Sam and they were allowed to leave.
You guys drive safe tonight.
Have a good one.
In light of this troubling incident report, investigators are more interested than ever in learning what was really going on between these former high school sweethearts.
They dated in high school, but things didn't work out. So they sort of moved on. But the spark between them was never entirely extinguished.
A spark that apparently reignited in late 1993 at a wedding involving the Lopez and Torres families.
Wow.
Hi.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. You're not so bad yourself.
Thanks. Some of us are going out on the weekend, and I was thinking maybe if you want to go with us.
Sure, yeah.
Kathy and Sam began seeing each other again, even though Kathy had another boyfriend and Sam had another girlfriend.
They weren't in an exclusive relationship, but they still cared about each other. They still loved each other.
But if it was true that Kathy and Sam were seeing one another again in the months leading up to her murder, there's something about Sam's demeanor in his first interview that now troubles police.
It was like talking to someone who was speaking of a stranger. There was no concern for her being gone.
At some points, he's left alone in the interview room, and he becomes more concerned with the ingredients on the Diet Coke can than with what's going on.
What is this? Low calorie cola. Less than 1 fucking calorie.
Later in that interview, Sam told detectives he noticed something strange about Kathy the weekend before her murder.
She comes back with the hickey. On her neck? On her right here, covering her with her bra.
When Kathy and Sam were stopped by police that night, the officer stated that it seemed as if they had been fighting. So detectives wonder, could they have been fighting over the hickey?
According to Kathy's sister Tina, Kathy had trouble recalling many of the details of that night. But the next day, she told Tina about something she did remember.
What I do remember, I think, is Sam proposed to me.
She said, well, Sam wants us to run off and get married. I'm like, wait a minute. He still has a girlfriend that he's presented to his family. What's going on?
Tina says Kathy refused to give Sam a firm answer that night, and she told him that she would have to think about his marriage proposal.
During the time that Sam is asking Kathy to run away with him, her new boyfriend Albert is lying in a coma after attempting suicide.
She's dealing with the situation with Albert, and she wants to make sure that she's there to provide that support for him and his family.
Kathy is a caring person. Whatever her feelings are for Sam, she's not going to leave Albert at a time of crisis like this.
It's ridiculous and it sounds crazy. I'm going to tell him no Saturday. It's the right choice, sweetie.
She told me, I'm going to tell him on Saturday, no, I'm done. Don't talk to me.
One of Kathy's co-workers tells police Kathy had planned to meet Sam at an ice cream store on the night of February 12th, 1994, to inform him of her decision.
She's last seen driving through the parking lot towards the exit of the complex. She was never seen alive again.
Given what we'd seen, given what we'd learned, Sam was certainly the person of interest at this point.
In February of 1994, investigators in Placentia, California are starting to wonder if Kathy Torres's 23-year-old on-again, off-again boyfriend, Sam Lopez, could have something to do with her disappearance and murder.
There's some suspicions started to swirl about Sam. He was allegedly with Kathy the weekend before her death, when she came home in an incoherent state. Then there was his behavior following her disappearance, and it was alleged that she was planning on rejecting his marriage proposal.
Detectives speculate how Sam might have responded in light of such a rejection, especially after they talked to Kathy's mother, Mary, again.
Detective?
Come on in.
I found these in Kathy's room. I thought you could use them. I think they'll help with the investigation.
Box of letters?
They're love letters from Sam.
These letters are from Sam to Kathy, and they date back to high school.
As investigators read the contents of these letters, they provide a window not only into their earlier love affair, but also into Sam's state of mind.
Sam had some jealousy issues. We recovered letters that were very, very volatile and expressed that the relationship was one that had potential for violence.
In Sam's earlier interview with police, he admitted he struggled with jealousy.
She knows that, look, every time she mentions some guy's name, I get pissed off, okay?
But when the DNA test on Sam's clothing comes back from the lab, the results are surprising to police.
There is just no DNA. There's no fingerprints.
We couldn't put Sam Lopez with Kathy Torres after she left work. We had no evidence connecting him to her murder at all.
Detectives try to restart the investigation, but they struggle to find a direction.
At this point, there are no new leads. Nothing is going on. Unfortunately, the case goes cold.
And to add to this tragedy, Albert Rangel, who had laid in this brain-dead coma for over a year, succumbed to his injuries and passed away.
For 3 long years, this case languishes. Then, in the early spring of 1997, Detective Darren Wyatt decides to take a new look at the case.
I'd just gone into homicide at the Placentia Police Department, and it was one of the most notorious cold cases in Placentia's history.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
I'm Detective Darren Wyatt. We going over Kathy's case?
I'm really glad to hear that.
I had been working on the case for a couple of months, and when my daughter was born, it was just extremely emotional for me.
Being a new father, I can imagine how important Kathy was to you.
She was my everything.
I said, I promise that I will do everything within my power to bring justice for Kathy and for your family.
As Wyatt begins combing through the files, a surprising tip comes in.
We had a repossession company call us with information that they had repoed a car. There's evidence in the trunk, newspaper articles of Kathy's murder they thought might be involved.
The evidence was cash register receipts from the same drugstore chain where Kathy worked.
When I start looking at the guy who owned the car, he had a prior incident where he was in custody for brandishing a knife at somebody.
So now it's starting to get interesting. The owner of the car had a violent history and what appears to be quite an interest in Kathy's murder.
But Wyatt's interest quickly wanes when he learns the car's owner was in prison on the day Kathy was killed.
Ultimately, I was able to determine that the person's wife had gone to high school with Kathy, kept the article.
It was just an innocent coincidence. This man's wife went to high school with Kathy, and she kept some of the newspaper articles about her death. And her ex-husband had a violent past, but there's no connection.
Now, Wyatt reviews the files on Sam Lopez and his cousin, Javier.
Sam and Javier had both been talked to in 1994. They had been each other's alibi.
Then, so what did I do that day? Somebody paged me. I picked my cousin up again. I was with him. He was with me.
While Sam's fingerprints and DNA had been compared to Kathy's body and car, Detective Wyatt realizes one person's DNA had not. Sam's cousin, Javier Lopez.
So one of the first things I did is I sent off his fingerprints and his blood to the crime lab.
Detective Wyatt.
A few weeks after that, I received a call from the crime lab indicating that there was a fingerprint that was lifted off the trunk of Kathy's car. It was Javier's left index finger and a blood stain.
The lab also finds that a blood stain on the car is a mixture of Javier and Kathy's blood.
There is really no innocent explanation for Javier's fingerprint in blood on the car, as well as his DNA mixed with Kathy's in a blood stain on the car. He had to have been involved in her murder.
Wyatt also notices something significant in a photograph of the trunk.
There were blood spatter patterns that appeared to be spurting that would only occur if her heart was still beating at the time. To me, that was important because if she's put in the trunk and she's still alive, anybody who assisted in putting her in the trunk is now a principal in the crime. Javier is no longer an alibi witness. Javier is an active participant in this murder.
Investigators ponder the question, could Javier have killed Kathy on his own?
We brought Javier in, did a 5-hour interview with him, and discussed with him in explicit detail what his relationship with Kathy was. And he discounted and downplayed and denied anything and everything.
I've got your print on her car. Do you want to tell me how I got there?
I mean, that could have been like from weeks ago, man.
So you were hanging out with her then?
Javier comes up with this story about, I forgot, I ran into them, and I actually sat in the car for a little while, and I might have gotten something out of the trunk.
Did you kill Kathy? No.
Did your cousin Sam?
No, of course not, man.
Well, what were you guys doing?
He got so frustrated and didn't know what to say that he put his fist in front of his mouth to prevent him from saying anything further.
Detective Wyatt believes he's close to cracking this case, so he pushes ahead, with or without Javier Lopez's cooperation.
If Javier was involved, so was Sam. Javier did not have a motive. It's most likely he was with Sam when it happened, and he helped him to dispose of the body.
Darren gets a search warrant to search Javier and Sam's residence and also Sam's vehicle. However, both of these searches turn up fruitless.
While the search is disappointing, detectives believe they have enough evidence against Javier to move forward. And in late 1997, over 3 years after Kathy's murder, he is arrested.
I was shocked to see Javier because I thought he was Kathy's friend. I never thought that he would be involved.
The matter is submitted to the DA's office. After reviewing the evidence, the DA decides that there is just not enough evidence to try Javier. At that point, they have to let Javier go.
They were concerned there still wasn't enough to prove it to 12 jurors beyond a reasonable doubt. If we try to prosecute it now and we lose, double jeopardy attaches, we can never re-prosecute. He's free forever.
The case goes cold again. Then in 2003, a new prosecutor is assigned the case.
I got a phone call from Matt Murphy, who I had never dealt with before. And he said, I've got these 4 boxes in my office if you want to come talk about it.
Darren and I sat down and we put our heads together. What can we do now? What can we look at now that hasn't been done before?
Over the years, DNA technology had evolved. While previous tests required a large sample, current testing could use touch DNA.
Your body is constantly losing and replacing skin cells. And each one of these cells contains your DNA. So more than likely, when you touch something, you're leaving your calling card behind.
Investigators decide to resubmit Kathy's clothing to the lab to see if there was any touch DNA.
When we submitted Kathy's blouse to the crime lab, what we got Javier Lopez's DNA in her right armpit. That means Javier Lopez, who is Sam's alibi, had to have had contact with her body that night.
But the testing still did not find any of Sam's DNA. If the case is to be made against him, prosecutors will have to rely on circumstantial evidence alone.
Where's the DNA? Where's the fingerprints? They had some of that in this case, but it didn't lead to Sam Lopez.
It's decision time. Investigators have all the evidence they're likely to get. What will they do?
I'm like, Matt, what are we going to do? I don't think that we're going to get anything else. We need to make a decision.
In 2007, police in Placentia, California believe Sam Lopez and his cousin Javier were involved in the 1994 murder of Sam's former girlfriend, Kathy Torres. While investigators have DNA evidence linking Javier to the crime, the case against Sam is anything but a slam dunk.
The DA's struggle in this case was 1, there was no murder weapon. 2, there was no murder location. And 3, there's no anything connecting Sam to this crime.
But the prosecutors do have Sam's own words, his videotaped statement to police back in 1994. So they have investigator Larry Montgomery comb through it again.
I was trying to see what Sam said. I look at it from basically different points of view. What a person says, if they are in fact innocent, they will have a different mindset. A guilty person who killed Kathy has a totally different mindset.
One of the things Montgomery notices is Sam's answer to a question about Kathy's mother paging him on February 14th, 1994.
She asked me, hey, have you Kathy paged you before? Lately? And I go, no.
But Kathy's mother, Mary, told police that she had paged Sam over 20 times that week looking for her daughter, and that Sam never responded.
Well, you look at that and you start thinking, she lives at the house where Kathy lived. They have one phone. She pages the same number that Kathy pages him to. So if he didn't do the killing, he knows that he got 20 pages from Kathy, and he didn't answer any of them.
And he's not responding. Why is he not responding? Because he knows it's not Kathy. Why? Because he killed Kathy, and he knows she's not home.
Then in that same 1994 interview, when police tell Sam that Kathy's body has been found, Sam fails to ask one very important question.
Sam was talked to for an hour and 7 minutes, and he never asked what happened to her.
Right. That strikes me funny. I'm just saying, if she was a part girlfriend of mine or whatever your relationship is, I'd be curious. I'd want to know what happened to her, you know?
In detail.
Yeah.
We all are humans, and it's easy to say, well, that just doesn't seem right if he's innocent. But it does seem right if he's guilty.
Convinced of Sam's guilt, prosecutors decide it's time to roll the dice. On July 6, 2007, more than 13 years since Kathy's death, both Sam and Javier Lopez are arrested and charged with murder.
When Javier and Sam were arrested, it just opened up all your emotions all over again. It takes you back to 94 when it happened. And it's like, okay, Kathy, justice is finally going to be served for you.
But legal wrangling by defense attorneys drags the case out for nearly 8 more years.
A lot of times it is to their benefit. It's called aging the case. It's to their benefit if witnesses forget. So a case that's already quite old, it benefits them, if it gets a little bit older.
When nothing happens again for so many years, it's like, wow, are they going to walk free?
Prosecutor Matt Murphy learns he'll be opposing a very familiar face. Former prosecutor Lou Rosenblum.
Lou is my mentor. Lou taught me how to try homicide cases. He's a legend among trial lawyers. He's also one of the people way back in the day that reviewed this case and believed there was not sufficient evidence to proceed. So I was going up against a guy who knew the details of this case as well, or even embarrassing for me to say it now, better than me. So it is a battle.
Separate trials are ordered for the two cousins. Finally, in February 2015, the case against Sam Lopez begins in Orange County Superior Court.
You want to make sure that the jury understands that this is a case about human behavior. It's a case about relationships. It's a case about hot blood and broken hearts.
Yes, that is.
The prosecution argues that the wheels for Kathy's murder were set in motion the week before she disappeared.
I think that everybody who is involved in the case has a suspicion that there was some type of a date rape drug given to Kathy.
While prosecutors admit it's unclear if Sam sexually assaulted Kathy that night, they do believe that Sam noticed a hickey on Kathy's neck.
What is that?
It's nothing.
Is that a hickey?
Sam sees a hickey on her body from another guy. In his mind, it's okay for him to date other people, but it was never okay for her to date other people. They argued, and that is what sparked the fight.
License and registration, please. Of course. My registration's right here.
Miss, are you okay?
In a fit of anger, at the end of that evening, Sam Lopez took out a knife and slashed those tires.
Prosecutors say the following Saturday night, Kathy left work at 8 p.m., telling a coworker she was going to meet Sam at an ice cream shop.
Sam drives into town with Javier. Sam is in his truck.
Sam came up and surprised her.
Hey.
After everything that happened the weekend before, he walks up to her, writing a letter to Albert Rangel, the rival of his affections.
What's up?
Think we can go somewhere else to talk?
Yeah, are you okay?
Yeah. It's fine. I want to talk.
Okay, well, yeah.
I'll drive.
Okay.
Javier's driving the truck, and Sam and Kathy are in Kathy's car. So they drive out of the parking lot. They proceed down Placentia Boulevard. They make a left into this apartment complex.
So, did you think about what I said?
I did. And I'm not doing it. I can't. It's stupid.
It's stupid.
I'm not doing it. Stop. You're hurting me.
You're not saying no to me.
The rejection happens. The fight starts. He pulls out a knife and proceeds to stab Kathy inside her car. She kicks him. She loses her shoe. She gets out, runs away. He chased her, and once he caught her and she was on the ground, he stabbed her multiple times in that position.
Javier sees Sam thinking what he's doing is punching Kathy. When he gets out of the car, he sees that Sam has a knife in his hand, and he's actually stabbing her.
Help me. Help me get her up.
There's this whole sort of scene where they're discussing how they have to transport her someplace else.
The prosecution then argues that Javier helped his cousin load Kathy's body into the trunk of her car, leaving his DNA and fingerprints behind.
They believe that she's dead, but in fact, she's actually still alive. She's still experiencing arterial bleeding from her neck. That means her heart is still beating. After she's in the trunk and the trunk is closed, she's still conscious, and she starts banging on the trunk of the car. And we see blood transfer that's consistent with that. Sam then gets out of the car, opens the trunk, and does the coup de grace where he cuts her throat. When you look at the totality of the evidence, Sam did it. Sam murdered Kathy, and that's what we had going for us.
But Sam Lopez's defense argues that the prosecution hasn't proven anything.
Their focus really was not on what we have, but look at what's missing. There's no confession. There's no murder weapon. We don't even know where the murder happened. You've got forensic evidence all pointing to somebody else.
After nearly 4 weeks of testimony, the case goes to the jury to decide.
You couldn't breathe because, one, you're like, I heard what I heard. I saw what I saw. Did they hear it? Did they see it? I pray to God they did.
On March 3rd, 2015, following 2 days of deliberations, they return with their verdict.
The jury came back and found him guilty of murder in the first degree.
I swear I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. My mom was sitting next to me. My sister, my brother was behind me. There was gasps.
I had made that promise to Mary. And to me, that's all it was about. When they read the verdict, we made eye contact. And it's one of the best professional feelings in my career.
At a sentencing hearing, Sam Lopez does the unthinkable. He admits his guilt.
It was extraordinary. I've never seen anything like that in my 23 years. Sam admitted that he had done it. He waived his appellate rights and he apologized to the family.
But for some, even Sam's confession causes pain.
He should have just confessed to it from the very beginning. and not put so many people through such agony, anguish, hurt, pain.
Sam Lopez is sentenced to 26 years to life in prison and will be eligible for parole in 2020. His cousin Javier eventually pled guilty to being an accessory after the fact and was sentenced to 9 years.
He was not involved in the actual killing. He chose loyalty to his cousin Sam over doing the right thing. But he spent 9 years in custody as a result of that.
It was essentially time served, and Javier is out.
For family and friends, Kathy's memory continues to live on in their hearts.
She was a girl with a giving heart, a heart that she welcomed people, embraced people, and she could, not only get her education, but help others along the way.
We can only just remember the good times we had with her, remember her smile, and what she still means to us this day.